Today we have a clicker. We upgraded, made an investment in the channel. Just kidding. When we think about late 80s and early 90s supercars, these are the cars that were on posters. We're talking about extreme design, wild imagination, insane top speeds, insane acceleration. And right here we got the Mount Rushmore. I think when we think about, this era of supercars, these are the three that are the most popular. Starting off with the Ferrari F40. And what I want to make is a point. These things are expensive because of nostalgia and because of just masterclass. F40 is worth 1.5 to 1.9 millions. And it's considered one of the sexiest Ferraris of all time. So, no hate there. Next up, we got the engineering masterpiece. This is less wild looking, but when it comes to engineering perfection at the time, we got the Porsche 959. This is worth just south of 2 million. I don't know why I'm writing it out like this, but $2 million. I've seen it being sold on Haggerty for like 1.7, 1.8. Pretty insane. Of course, an absolute classic. Now, when we think about the culmination of demonic activities, right? The craziest thing, TVR tried competing with this, the McLaren F1. $20 million. So we kind of went over this, right? It's got speed, style, elegance, sexy top speed, sexy acceleration. It's pretty much, these three are race cars. So they should be worth a lot, right? See what I did there? What about the XJ220? It's fast, it's sexy, it sounds phenomenal, and it's sleek, right? This is the culmination of imagination. How much does it cost? $415,000. Why? Okay, as you guys can see, I do not know how to write in a straight line. Apologies. As you guys know, this is what we're going to be talking about. Number one, overview. We're talking about a brief, fun overview where, I spit some cool facts about you about the XJ220. Number two, why, fun fact, it's one of my favorite cars ever. And finally, number three, why you're here, why it fell from glory, grace, relevance, etc. Cue transition. That was no, fuck God. Do I just do a new one? Yeah. Well, they think I'm like wild, right? So I gotta do something wild. Yeah! Third espresso of the day, we are buzzing. Okay, overview of the XJ220. 1992 to 1994. It was actually named after the XK120. This was a Jaguar production vehicle that set the world record for fastest production vehicle in 1949 with a top speed of 120 miles per hour. So, if you have any brain cells left, you can decipher that this 220 meant it can hit 220. Could it? We'll find out. It was engineered by Tom Walkinshaw Racing. I like to call them totally wet race cars because they also engineered the XJR9, which is just fucking, oh my God, like the greatest purple and gold I've ever seen in my life. This is a masterclass of a car. I'll show you in these pictures. Don't take your pants off yet. I'm not finished. Now, the XJ220 just gave it away. Hit 217 miles per hour. I'll get to that later. It was able to hit 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds. In fact, there's a video of it absolutely fucking a Pagani Zonda in a quarter-mile drag race. I'll put the link down there. And it's all thanks to the 542 horsepower V6. I'll get to that too. It weighed 3,200, a little north of 3,200 pounds. It's no TVR. And it was actually the world's greatest of all time in terms of top speed until 1993. It hit 217 miles per hour and everyone's like, I love it, we did it. And then the Bugatti EB110 came in 1993 and beat it. It looks like a Hoover vacuum and it crushed my favorite car ever. So next. Alright, so we're doing a glaze session. This is the first one of the channel. This is where I get to talk about why I love the XJ220 to death. Starting off with the design. Where can I start with this thing? I'm going to say this right now. The XJ220, in my opinion, this is subjective, is the most beautiful car ever made. I mean, let's look at the front. We've got an electric eel, speed racer, cobra fish, futuristic rocket ship alien, right? It feels like it's like burrowing through the water at quick speeds. It's got like this like fin vibe, right? And then we look at the back and we got burnout. We got retro gaming. We got Group B. We got all the flair, all the enthusiasm. And it's coated up with the side skirts and the fenders like it's a suit. Like this looks like a dressed killer. Like it doesn't have all those like hyper edges, those like dynamic, insane looking parts, all those things. Like it looks like a subtle killer. And when I first saw the behind, especially the behind,
he was special.
It blows my mind that such a car exists. It was designed by Keith Helfet, a South African designer, and his emphasis on designing cars comes from appeal to emotion. This shit appealed to my emotions for sure. It touched my heart. I mean, looking at the entire car. If I ever saw one in real life, I haven't seen one yet. Hopefully it happens. I don't know if I can walk. Reason number 2, the noise. This is kind of bouncing off the design. Subtle killer. When we think about the greatest sounding cars, even in F1, we think about like the, we think about the loud cars. And of course we should, they're sexy. But there's something about the XJ220 where it's like, you feel like it's like a James Bond villain where it's like, I'm not going to be overcompensating. I'm going to be nice and subtle. They'll know that I'm aggressive. But there's this note to it that's like very clean and very just like, I don't know. When it beats the Pagani Zonda and that Zonda looks like it's trying its best while the XJ in the suit and tie vibe just fucking smokes it, it's just so goddamn. I want to run through a wall for it, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. Enough. Beautiful noise. Complements the design. Design complements the noise. Finally, it's a Jaguar.
Yeah.
We don't even need a dash. We don't even need a reason. Jaguar, in terms of aura, it's up there in cars. I mean, I don't think I can name a single Jaguar that's like corny or tacky. Sure, there's been ugly Jaguars, but there's something so classy about a Jaguar. It's like the definition of a man who is dressed nice but is crazy in the inside, right? TVR is the opposite. It's a heroin addict, but we got Jaguar, and it's just like, don't push me, right? Because it's branded as a luxury car, but we know deep down there's a demon in it. But overall, these 3 things, they really stood out to me. All right, so why does no one give a shit about the XJ220? It's worth under $500K, despite it being, in my opinion, one of the sexiest cars ever. Sounds amazing, is fast, quick. I'll tell you why. Okay, broken promises. Where do we start? At the 1988 British Motor Show, the concept for this car was revealed. And, it had everything. It was sleek, it looked sexy, headlights, rims, spoiler, the big picture. But the thing that made people go, whoa, was the engine. The engine was a V12 back then. And if you remember from my, 5 minutes ago, we say that it's a V6. It's a pretty sad big deal. It's a big blow. But, shouldn't be that big of a deal, right? Wrong. 1,500 pre-orders were made for the XJ220 after the Auto Convention show, and each one was 50,000 euros. That meant 75 million fucking euros were pre-order money was sent towards Jaguar. Oh boy. Imagine spending $50,000 on a pre-order on a car, just a deposit, right? We're not even talking full price, obviously. And they go, oh yeah, that V12 you wanted? Just snap it in half.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, so a lot of people were pissed off. We were talking about refunds. We're talking about people trying to sue Jaguar. And honestly, if I spent that much money, yeah, I want a V12. So without it even being debuted, launched, it already had spit on its face. It's gotten slapped around. The communities hate it because, it's a con. Pretty much similar to like the Toyota Supra, the new one. Everyone's like, BMW engine, what the fuck? It pretty much went through something similar. People were like, fuck this car, fuck this car, fuck this car. Okay, now another reason why it got the shaft. Wrong timing. What do I mean by that? Well, the 220, obviously, as you remember, is modeled after the XK120. So its primary objective was to be the world's fastest car. At least for a while. Not like 4 fucking months. It dropped 217, shocked the world, whole thing. And then the Bugatti EB110 came like a year after and said, fuck you.
This is brilliant, but I like this.
But here's the thing. These two cars were kind of similar in top speed. So it was like, oh man, like they barely beat them. They'll still be really cool, right? No. And the McLaren F1 unzipped his pants and just fucked both of these cars. I mean, 240 miles per hour. Just like that, the XJ220's entire identity was gone. It stood for the fastest car. It was trying to be the fastest car. And the F1 came, and it was another British car, too. It just fucked it, man. So the entire era is remembered for the F1 now, right? Like, no one gives a shit about the others, like the other ones that try to make it. In fact, the Bugatti EB110 is very underrated these days. So unfortunately, these are the two things that really shafted the XJ220. People don't talk about it as much because, yeah, it was like the little child to like the great behemoths. Like the F1's considered one of the greatest cars of all time. How can you compete? How can a successor be so fucking good? It's like if the XJ220 was Drew Bledsoe and then Brady walks in, even though I think Joe Montana's the GOAT. We'll get there another time. That's why no one gives a shit. And it's truly a heartbreaker. In another era, another time, the F1 wasn't made, people would be liking this car way more, talking about it way more. But it's not in this reality. Okay, I'd say the biggest takeaway is I need to clean my board. Regardless, takeaway number 1, when we're talking about the XJ220, Jaguar, deliver to the fucking people. What the fuck? What are these broken promises? You could have made greatness if you started off with a good reputation, as I talk about here. Having a reputation as a nice car brand, something that delivers, is very important when it comes to hype, speculation, all these things. So going from a V12 to a V6 after 75 million euros deposited is a terrible look, regardless of how good the car comes out to be. In fact, the 220S came out and it was able to hit 220, I believe, and no one gave a shit, really. I mean, at that point, it's like the McLaren F1 stole the thunder, which is a shame because this car is absolutely sexy and hot and amazing and beautiful and pant dropping and please marry me, and I'm running out of analogies. That was an analogy. Beautiful, right? This car is, I don't give a shit. Okay, let's look at the meat. Let's cut out the drama, cut out the news. Sexy car. Sexy car. The rims, the headlights, the taillights, the spoilers, the side skirts, the fenders, the doors. I'm fucking Beethoven. It's beautiful. And the noise, subtle killer. We talk about, dressed up suit, kind of like me. But at the end of the day, legacy is important. And unfortunately, the F1 came down. It was having a smidge of a legacy. The XJ220, the somewhat successful successor of the XK120. And McLaren F1 just fucking kicks it down. So, here's a car with very high expectations, but, under-delivers. Unfortunately, one of my favorite cars will forever be considered niche. And, if I'm being honest, undervalued and underrated. If there's a supercar I'd recommend, if you have the money, shit, have fun. Just know it's a V6. And who knows, if you buy it, it might be a V3. That doesn't exist. Funny, humor. So yeah, this was the XJ220 breakdown, why it fell off, why it's no longer really remembered. It's a damn shame. That's what I gotta say. But I'm gonna go buy one when I hit, 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah.